really happy to welcome you today at our Groktalk AI events. We didn't do the events maybe for a couple of months. And during this couple of months, so much changed in the AI industry and so much developed. The speed is really high. The changes are huge. They will affect our lives without no questions. And I believe we have to be a part of that. We have to participate, be prepared, and understand how it works. So to just go with the time. So that's why we restarted our Growth Talk AIs, and the first one is with beautiful Yelena. As she said, she has a lot of experience in AI field, in the AI industry. She worked in Pixar, then podcast a lot of companies, and now TheAgentic AI, the company that provides agentic infrastructure. So and we're talking about building startups in this era. So please welcome Yelena.
Hi again. Oh my God, thank you for introduction. Also, thank you all for coming. It's my pleasure to be here today. I'm gonna do like a quick heads up. They say I'm a good storyteller, but because we have slides here, I feel like I really have to follow a narrative and a very strict storyline. So I have a script here. I'm gonna look into my scripts a lot. I'm so sorry, but yeah, that's for the sake of productivity of this event. Okay. Yes, first, again, let me introduce myself. I'm Yelena. I have been productizing ML for the past 8+ years. I had a pleasure to work with computer vision technologies, with NLP, which evolved around speech, around text, as well as some user behavioral things. And now I'm head to toes all in LLMs and VLMs on an infrastructure level. I work as a head of product at the TheAgentic infrastructure company for builders, where we have our own reasoning model that is solid accuracy. We also have several our products, and also we have a program, a Launchpad program. I lead that program. On that program, we have 44 startups, and we help them to grow and scale fast. Those startups are the startups of new era. Hence, I have something to say about the whole change of the environment. So, anyways, I want to take you a little bit on a thought experiment and also share what I've been seeing firsthand while working with startups on our launchpad. And to tell you about this wild new AI era that we're all navigating. This talk is called Building Startups in the New AI Era, but what we really are going to talk about is how we recently rethink building startups from ground up, and how the tools, the timelines, the scale of the team, and even the user workflows have changed. Let's start with a question that might sound a little strange at first, but stick with me. What if your startup's first milestone wasn't building a team or getting a fund, and it was building the momentum, because that's what's happening right now. We're used to thinking in traditional roles, meaning if you're from my generation of people being in a startup, you're also thinking, I need a co-founder, I need VC money, I need a big team of full stack developers, iOS, Android, front end, back end, QA, marketers to just start, build, and then go to market, test, and see maybe I fell or I don't. The new wave tells you that you really can start with basically alone. You absolutely will need your team once you scale, but the new recipe is you go with a tight loop. It's first idea, build, test, validate, then get funding, then scale. So it's only the sequence that has changed. And I say this from experience. I'm working closely with a lot of startups and our Launchpad program, and we help founders to go to the market really fast. Within, I want to say, so we have different cases I'll cover, but mostly it happens within 3 weeks. You're able to ship product to your customer. Some stores that I also see are in the current market is the founders going with traditional route. They have been trying to get to the market for the past 4 years. This is a real story. I'm not exaggerating. But every time they will get to the point where they can ship their product to the public, OpenAI, Anthropic, and other big guys, they will come up with something revolutionary. And they will have to start with a new POC for validation. And that hurts, really hurts, trust me. So this being said, okay, hear me out. AI has made it ridiculously easy to build. We're talking weeks, sometimes days, to ship a working demo. A very recent example I have is from our Launchpad that I want to share from literally last week, which on Wednesday, a Launchpad program member came in with an idea. It was a wild idea, so we need to first see if that would even work. So we had a very tight timeline of 2 days, and by the end of Friday, we had shipped a working demo, UX only, no UI. It was a validation that this idea is working, meaning that you don't really need to spend months to get to the point where you figure out if that's working and then, right? So yes, that's not magic. That's just the AI removing all the bottlenecks that you have. The new edge is shipping fast, learning fast, and iterating fast. So yeah, the bar has moved. The execution is your new pitch deck. But I guess that's like a nice problem to have. It's not a problem. So now let's zoom out and talk about what changed that made this even possible. 5 years ago, GPT-3 came out, and honestly, it was more of a party trick. However, fast forward to today, we're seeing the rise of multi-agent systems, reasoning LLMs, orchestration tools, and even open source frameworks that are so easy, letting you build workflows that almost feel autonomous. AI has moved from helpful assistant to a real collaborator, and it has become a real co-founder, team member, helping you to move fast without bottlenecks. What used to take months, validating the idea, build a product prototype, getting user feedback, now happens in weeks. Time from idea to execution has collapsed. And this gives us an unmatched leverage over time. Sorry. So yeah, AI is now your collaborator. It's not your assistant anymore. It helps you to get from zero to MVP in days, not in months. Now, let's take a look at this shift head on, because the difference between building startup then and now is massive. Then you needed an assembled full team. Like I mentioned, you needed engineers, you needed marketers, you needed QA, designers, the whole full stack of the team. And to even get your MVP off the ground. And that's before even starting talking to users. Everything was slower, heavier, and more expensive. Well, sustaining that team is expensive, right? Now, we're seeing solo founders truly solo, launching working prototypes, testing ideas, and onboarding early users in just 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes even faster, honestly. But that's not that's not only about the speed. It's also about who is doing the startup. Before, the average profile of a startup founder would be 18 to 25 year old founder, figuring out as they go, full of energy, mostly leaning into logic, trying to cover a lot of general purpose innovation. Now is vertical specialists. So what we're seeing is more and more founders that we work with are 35 and up. They're domain experts, industry veterans, and operators who have lived the pain they're trying to solve. Let's do it at the end, if you don't mind. I mean, we can cover that too, but that might just be in the middle. If you don't mind, thank you. So reason for this is actually very logical because in the early 2010s, there was a lot of space for innovation that was still open. And the use case was we were building the internet's ecosystem. We were building task managers, we were building marketplaces. Whereas now the innovation shifted into domain specific innovation. The low hanging fruit that was there has been taken. The bigger opportunity now lies in verticals such as legal, healthcare, agriculture, you name it. So, yes, people equipped with that domain experience will be the ones leading the new startup era. So, yes, naturally, that means that the age of an average founder has also gone up. Yeah. Let's make it practical just a little bit. If I were to build, but I'm not going to because, yeah, I think, as they say, support this support. If I were to build a new AI native startup today, here's the playbook that I would take. I would start with a vertical insight, something real, a real pain point that I think can solve a lot of pain for a lot of people. Then I would prototype my POC with AI. Not, I wouldn't even go into UI. I would just try to assemble my UX to be able to test. Then I would take, so there are a lot of founders that want to test their ideas on tens of thousands of people, but what you really need is 5 to 7 people from your target audience. You test, you get your feedback, you iterate. Once you iterate, you get the feedback. So here is, you do your POC, you do your validation. Within your validation, if you see something is not working, you take the feedback and you iterate. If you see that's not working at all, you just start from the beginning if you really, really want to do stuff, because there are people that really, really want to do startup. Once done with validation, and if I saw traction, I will go towards GTM go to market. And that's also done easy today, easier than before. You can literally, if you're B2B, what I would do, I would go to some AI SDR. I would automate email sequences, run ops, and if we're talking B2C, I would use some VLMs and LLMs to write out my campaigns, strategy, even visuals. I would even automate the posting on my socials. And yeah, and then it's all about getting traction and scaling your product. But really, yeah, GTM is the hardest part, in my opinion, right now. All right, so let's talk about what's actually powering this shift. Am I in the...
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good. Yeah.
Because when we say it's easier to build and launch than ever before, it's not about GPT or ChatGPT writing paragraphs for you. It's about entirely new infrastructure level that has been immersed into startups. I like to call this AI native stack because it's not just a layer on top of your product. It's literally baked into how your startup's running. And here are the core building components: agents, prompt engineering, and orchestration. I'll go one by one in a sec. So agents. In regards to agents, we're not dealing with single prompt output prompts anymore. We're seeing a full-blown multi-agent systems that can reason, collaborate, and execute. Think frameworks like Agentic Bench or CrewAI. They allow you to spin up agents that can talk to each other, handle tasks across stack, and adapt to the feedback. So instead of hiring a junior SDR, a project manager, or a data researcher, you build workflows that do the job basically consistently. That was the word. About prompt engineering. If you're building with LLMs, your prompt is your stack, period. It's not a fluff. It's literally how you control the behavior. A good prompt can replace hundreds of thousands of code execution. So yeah, prompt engineering is new product engineering, and it's about getting the output without even hard coding the logic. Orchestration frameworks. So when it comes to orchestration frameworks, I want to say it's the real glue of everything said above, because this is where agents start interacting with each other. They talk to each other. You tell them in what order they should talk, and also under what logic. And the orchestration layer is where you start building actual systems. So yeah, this can replace for your company up to 2 to 3 headcount at a time for a single role. Now, why humans still matter and why they're the missing layer. As much as AI can shorten the path, speed up workflows, and get a little creative along the way, working with 44 startups, I have noticed this one pattern, and it makes it super logical. Give me a sec. The ones that keep human in the loop, especially in how the product feels and responds, are building better user experience, period. Because here's the thing, AI can process data, but it doesn't understand intuition. It can take decisions based on best judgment, based on living experience, based on even the vibe from a good customer call. A human, a founder, is still the one who will be navigating the strategy, the vision of the product. And even if we're talking about users using your product, let's say when you go to just play around with ChatGPT, when typing your prompt, you already low-key know what's your end goal, what type of output you want. And it's you just navigating the LLM towards your vision. Oh, I want to basically, by the way, yes, thanks to the script, I want to share this one story that we have on our launchpad. So we have this AI SDR for cold outreach, and so the numbers were great, and the rates were solid, but the conversions, not so much, honestly. So what we did, we basically implemented this human in the loop layer where the messaging of the outreach would be twitched by a human, it would be polished by a human, and the rates tripled, basically. So yeah, that's the difference. It's not AI versus humans, it's AI with humans. So, how do you actually start? This is a very simple framework. You pick one process in your domain, a real pain that you know of. Then you build a simple agent on that flow to handle it. Then you stay in the loop, you observe, you you get the feedback, and then you iterate. Layer up over time, be the architect, not not the builder. Over time you will get like a full orchestration. Let me wrap this up. So this is just the beginning. AI isn't magic pill. It's powerful, yes, but it still needs human at the helm. Whether you're building a product or using it, someone has to steer the ship. Your gut vision, your strategy, your lived experience, your gut feeling, that what matters. That's what will take you to the next innovation stage. I want to say, oh my god, yes, thank you everyone. Maybe let's do some Q&A and also let's connect. I thought this was insightful.
Yeah. Let's then continue with questions if you have any.
I think there was a question, or
Yeah,
did I cover that?
Nah, forget
I covered that.
Well, thank you for the talk.
So I have a question. So you said you work with a lot of startups and you see the changes, and we talked about the changes in how you execute, like how you build a startup. My question is about the financing. So in this era, when the execution is so cheap and so fast, it also very hard to have like high growth startups.
Yes.
So the whole VC finance model
It
is
has
kind of started being outdated.
Yes. The
So
game
you
has
build
changed.
products, you can easily build them without much money spent. You don't need VC money, and
No.
on the other hand, you cannot grow so fast.
Yes.
So VCs are not interested too.
Yes.
How is it changing?
That's exactly how it's changing, because it's cheap and it's fast. So primarily, why would VCs invest into idea stage startups? Because to build a POC, you would need a large team. Thus, you would need to finance that, right? Now, because the technology is not unique anymore and it can be replicated within hours by Gen AI, basically they're expecting you to do that, build a prototype with Gen AI, iterate, see if you have traction, validate your idea. And once you have traction, then you can go to VC. And VCs now, they don't really invest in the technology unless it's like something unique. They invest in go to market. If you have traction and if they see there is traction, they would invest in the marketing primarily.
Yeah. And also, there's a problem with defensibility. So if it's so easily replicatable, so
It's the
how do you
GTM.
defend your startup? Yeah.
It's the GTM. First of all, you have to be fast because the big brothers like OpenAI, Anthropic, and other ones, they will come quickly in with like something that's revolutionary, and your idea might not be relevant anymore. That's like one. That's number one reason why you should be fast.
Your product is just a feature for them.
Yes, exactly. And then that's also the reason that we're seeing that vertical specific products are the ones who are going to thrive. General purpose SaaS, first of all, to get a funding for SaaS, that's general purpose, meaning solving problem for almost everyone. It's very hard. It's almost impossible to get funding on that. You have to solve a very specific pain point that's in the vertical, meaning it's optimizing your team effort, removing bottleneck. That's it. That's kind of the recipe right now.
And what about the industries? So if you work in some kind of a place where you the software is not the only component. It can be people, it can be hardware, like any other components that are not scalable that fast or are much harder to build or something like that. It gives you an edge.
Yes,
So
it gives you leverage.
yeah, because maybe like agriculture or
Yes,
industries that are not digitized so much.
Exactly. So AI is not something that will shorten the path all the way. It's just another tool that's helping you to move faster. Even in agriculture, okay, you might remove some headcount, but it's only because now one person can do more. It's not that AI will come and just magically solve everything for everyone. That's it.
I have two questions actually. So, first one would be like, can you be more specific? Like, give us an example of a program or a startup that went basically already went through all these cycles and was successful, and what was that product?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
So,
Just,
all of them. Basically, one that I like is Bon AI that we have. Um, they already have traction, but what they do is it's a new concept of gray search. We call it gray search. Why? Because imagine also yes, the next thing that's going to rise is gray search. Imagine it's a search within a specific domain. So Bon AI is specialized in banking and credit cards. So what they did for US is, and their market is US, they basically gathered all the information from all the banks around credit cards, how they work, what is the offering. Also, they gathered public feedback. They scraped the internet, the ratings. Now, let's say I want to get a credit card and I'm trying to figure out which one would work best for me. I would go there and I would type, I'm Yelena, I'm this old, this is my revenue, I travel a lot or I don't travel, I have children or I don't, I have this or that. What credit card would work for me the best? And that gives you the direction first. And then it also helps you to set up the whole thing, application and other processes. So these guys came in 2 months ago. Now they're doing a B2B with 3 major banks. They already have revenue. That's it. Again, it's a highly vertical problem, and they have traction from users.
Oh, do they train a model on top of the data that they scrap?
Do they scrap? They do scrap. Most of these things now. The research works with RAG mostly. You build your knowledge graph, which becomes one of the primary sources for your prompting, and then multiple other components working together. They make a product.
and where the LLM comes from?
Well, it depends what you choose, right? For us, it's our own reasoning model. And if you're doing your startup, it's up to you which
You trained it or you got it?
No, it's our LLM. It's our reasoning model.
So how did you get it? Did you train it? Did you
Uh,
source model? You did something with it?
no, it's our LLM.
So
We're
you
an
trained it?
infrastructure, yes.
Okay.
I guess it's a fine tuning on top of an open source LLM, right?
Yes. Lemma 3. And you had one more question.
Yeah, another question was actually, have you had a case when a person would come with a prototype, like a build by hand, right?
Yes.
And then you would take it from there.
Yes,
So
of course.
yeah.
Yes, we also have scale ups, but it's very few of them that, and so they have already, let's say, we have Series A startups, and they will come in because they need to implement, they kind of need to catch up with this new wave. So they will come in for just that part. But we're
And how you
focusing
help
on
them in that case?
Hydrogen.
How you help them in that case?
We're just basically imagine injecting our team members into their workflow More of like an outstuffing, but I would want to say outstuffing. We get hands-on into the product, into the strategy, into the vision, and we work with them. So we become part of their team in a way for a short period of time.
But you validated the idea from the beginning, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, a lot of startups, they don't pass the bar.
How big is the typical market for your startups? Like, do they aim for like $10 billion, $100 billion markets, or just like
No.
it can be a small business to like or a medium sized
Well,
business?
the way, so our Launchpad
How do you
program.
choose the products?
Yes, our Launchpad program is, I was telling to Mariam, it's our business development model. And imagine this is for us. So what the guys do, they spend a lot of money on marketing, but we can't really do the same alongside OpenAI, right? They're too big, and the margins are too big too. So for us, it would be just to cry into an ocean. What we do is we raise our own startups. We kind of then when they jump into the launchpad, we kind of invest ourselves into their idea. So we have to believe in them. We have to see that they will grow. They will get traction of millions of users. So they use our infrastructure, which is our main business. That's it. Launchpad is not our business. It's our business development, basically.
Kind of, it's partly a venture studio.
Kind of accelerator venture studio.
What are the trends now? Like, there are a lot of startups you work with. Like, what is the trend of the startups? Usually, in which areas they enter, or mostly, like, where they
Yes.
go? It's AI, or it's something different.
So mostly we see legal, medical, real estate, retail, and I want to say Web3. Those are the hot areas at this moment that are catching up.
Can you bring a couple of examples in real estate?
Yeah, so it's basically the under the hood management of client relationship. Imagine, so we have this one startup. It's called Call Concierge, and what they do is, so you have this one listing, right? And it's not like in Armenia. You go when people live there. You have to really prepare it to sell it. You have to do maybe like some painting on the walls, maybe put a vase here, do this, do that. So there are a lot of steps to undergo before you actually get to the viewings. First of all, setting up those processes takes a lot of management. Also, scheduling photographers to come take photos, which one should go after what, and then the actual viewings, how to book viewings in a way where one is not overlapping the other. So it's a lot of things happening. And it's also a lot of execution on human end. So what these guys are doing, they're automating that sync up of CRM so that the order is going correctly and one is not overlapping the other. And if one has been delayed, so the rest of the others are also shifting.
So how AI is going to help you?
It's AI orchestrating the whole thing. Basically, imagine it's automating. Let's say the painters had a bottleneck, and for some reason they haven't finished the work. Let's say they ran out of paint. Now, in a day, you have a photographer coming in. So AI, what would AI do is it would see that there had been a delay. It would trigger a rescheduling in the calendar, notifying the photographer that they shouldn't come. It will also sync up with their calendar, see what time slot will work for them, and also book that. It would take, like, I want to say best case, 20 minutes for someone to set that up. But that would be a minute, maybe less for an AI agent to do.
It's something like reclaim stuff like that.
Kind of.
kind of operations manager for real estate
Well,
agency.
AI agents are automation for automating all the routine processes that you have on daily basis.
I think AI would be much better in ad hoc meetings, not in like scheduled meetings or scheduled
Depends in what capacity also.
capacity. Like for example, we're chatting in a group of 10, and then at the end of that chat, AI will generate basically the event.
Yes, there are those things too.
Yeah,
We don't have a startup like that, but there are startups that do that. We do have a startup that would you would connect your socials, let's say your Telegram, your WhatsApp, your email, your Slack, everything to that agent, and it will go through all the chats that you have. It would summarize everything and give you your action items, and yes, for you to execute later. So you don't really have to remember or take notes. Think this, do this, deliver this. It would just book the spots for you in your calendar reminders.
How is the token limit handled in the situation?
Again,
The token limit.
the
The token limit, that the LLM have input token limits.
yes,
And if you have a very large context, like many emails, text messages.
prompt level, I guess. I'm not that technical, but
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Then question.
All right. Any other questions? We have some guests.
Thanks for the amazing talk. You mostly talk about the process of collaborating with AI in building startup. I would like to focus on early stage idea. I mean, during shaping idea, I feel referring to many startup pitches, and they mostly focus on AI and providing solutions that heavily relying on AI. The question is there still room for traditional startups that may be flavored by AI, but not heavily relying on data, big data, and AI? Or the hype is real and there is no room for traditional startups as they
Yes.
exist before?
Yes, it's a nice question. So there might be some space, but just like I said, the space has been taken and all the low hanging fruits have been taken. And also consider AI nowadays more like electricity in the building. It's becoming an essential part of the building or of the
Mandatory
startup.
criteria.
Yes. So when you go to buy an apartment, they're not telling you, by the way, we also have lights. That you have lights because that's something that's making the space more usable, let's say during night, right? So yes.
People want some magic, right? And that happens.
Well, it's more removing bottlenecks, speeding up things, using the processes.
That's
Yeah,
mandatory criteria.
kind of.
Can I please add a couple of words here? So I think there are a couple of industries yet that are interesting and are not like directly connected with AI. Though you use AI a lot in those industries too. It's like space. It's biotechnologies, biotech. Uh, and also one thing that is not like uh, straight AI, but is connected to AI is AI infrastructure. So anything connected with data centers, like energy, cooling, and stuff like that. So anything needed to run AI is not AI by itself, but you need it. Then you
Yes,
can
that's
earn a
a
lot
nice
of money
point.
on top of it. Yeah.
But yeah, again, like you said, you could implement things there, even in space, for example. Thank you all, I guess.
Okay. Thanks so much.
It was a pleasure.